I wanted to show off a system I've been working on for automating the crafting core from extended crafting. Basically, it's allowing me to have flow control with a token, so too many recipes don't get pushed in certain instances. You'll notice this recipe is actually using every single pedestal, but if we look at other recipes, you'll notice there's not as many items, so there's the potential for the next recipe, if you ask for, let's say, 20 of these to get made, it will overclog and fill up. So I kind of wanted to show how I built this because I thought it was kind of cool, and I had seen a few YouTube videos out there when I was trying to learn myself how to make this, but from what I could tell, they didn't solve the flow control issue, which is what I wanted to show here, and it's actually kind of simple. So I just wanted to show it off. And I'm going to try to include chapters in this video because it might be kind of long. So if we look at the ME interface, you might be wondering why I have this. I could have just used the unpacker to do everything, but I wanted to showcase that the packaged auto mod is for large recipes and the ME interface is for small recipes that can only have a maximum of 9 different types of items. So it's just kind of a demonstration purposes thing. But if we look at this draconium block, you have one in the center and then an extra one, and then it gives you 2 charged. So make sure all my crafts are good, nothing failed. So if I ask for one of these, you'll see that it works. Items went in, they're going to get made, and then they're going to come out. Took a little longer than I thought it would. So that's fine. But let's say I actually ask for, I don't know, 5 of them. Of course, it's going to make 6. And what's happening here is since there's so much extra room, it's just going to keep filling up the pedestals, even though the blocking mode is on for both of these. So that finished, but of course these are stuck and it's going to break everything in the future. So let's just throw these on the ground. So what I've done here is I've actually prepared another recipe already where I've added this token. And all that is an Ardite coin that you commonly get in the Enigmatica 2 Expert mod pack as a quest reward. And I've made 256 or whatever of these tokens, and I've added one here. So basically a token always gets sent with the recipe as my flow control element. So if we pop this recipe back in, and let's just say that I was to ask for 1,000, you'll notice it'll fail because, hey, I've only made 256 of these coins, which is fine. If I wanted to be able to make 1,000 of these, all I'd have to do is go to my anvil, type out this exact phrase on another couple stacks, however many I needed, and everything's fine. So I can make, 256? No problem. But I don't want to do that. I'm just going to make 10. And so this token is hanging out in here, and these are getting crafted. And that finished, it pulses, and then the next iteration gets sent in. I guess I might as well try to talk about these conduits. So we got the token in here. We got this conduit from Ender.io extracting on purple. We got a basic filter, and I basically have this token in here on a blacklist. So it's not allowing the token to go out this way. The only way the token can leave this chest is through here, which requires a redstone pulse because of this card. And it's really important this is a pulse, not like redstone on or off. It's the pulse. It's going from false to high. That's what it needs. It needs to see a false state, like a low state, to a high state, a true state. So this is still working great. Okay. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is just integrated dynamics. It's a really good way to power this. It has like max integer energy transfer. So it's just something extra. You can ignore it. It's just my power source to make this fast. If we look at, I guess, all of these pedestals, they're all set to purple and they're all just basic. They're just purple, basic priority, nothing's really set. The reason I made them purple is it's easier to see a brighter color, not the dark green. And also it lets me know that I've actually set them and I didn't miss one. That's why I changed them from green. And if you use this probe connector, if you didn't know, you hold shift, scroll down, you can do a copy by right clicking. And then I think shift right clicking is copy and then right clicking is pasting. And then you just go through here and quickly do it. So you don't have to run in here and click. But anyways, purple goes out, goes into these. This is the one that's special, the middle one. If we look at it, we'll see it's got a priority of 1, and it's the only one that has the filters for the recipe inputs. We've got purple going in, and we've got these items I've configured so far as a whitelist. And then for exporting, we actually have the exact same filter, just inverted as a blacklist. So it'll put those items in, but it won't take those items out, which means after the craft completes, there'll be a different item in there, and then it'll pull that item out. And there's a reason I do that. Let's just make sure that's not crafting. The reason I do that is because if you switch this to whitelist, so they're exactly the same, they will stack. And then you can add a new item. Whoops, what happened there? Add a new item to both of them at once. And then all you do is you throw them back in and change this one back to blacklist. And then you've saved yourself a step. So that's kind of a cool little tip. I'm going to ask for a few more of these because I still have more to talk about. So yeah, once the craft is done, it exports on pink and it goes into this chest. So what happens is when that item, which is currently the charged zirconium, when it goes into here, it happens so quickly you can't even see it. But as soon as an item goes into here, this comparator sees that as a redstone level of 1. There's at least one item in here. It's not empty. So when that gets changed to 1, this repeater converts that to 15 and it goes right here. And of course, I've got repeaters here. They're not required, but it stops the redstone from connecting to itself and the comparator. It comes in on the side there. So the repeater just pushes the redstone to this and pushes the redstone to this ME import bus. And looking at this one, as soon as the recipe finishes, it pulses the redstone. Because of this card, we get that pulse, and that pulse is important. I think I mentioned that already, but you want it on pulse. And this is important here, the 2 acceleration cards. Because the charged, whoops, where'd it go? The charged zirconium is actually returning 2 items. It's the only recipe, I think, in this pack that actually gives you 2 items back. If you don't have these acceleration cards in, it only takes 1 item at a time out per pulse, which is good for some applications you can imagine. A pulse takes 1 item out, but in this instance, 1 gets left and the system jams. So I think you only need 1 acceleration card to grab that second one. But I threw both of these in just because. But I think only 1's really necessary. So yeah, once the item gets pulled out, this item also gets pulled out, which happens to be this token extended crafting, and same thing, pulse, and the redstone card. And there's no acceleration cards here because there's only ever going to be 1 item left in. And at the risk of repeating myself, redstone blocking is very important. Keep misclicking. Man, I need to get a new mouse. Oh, one thing I should mention too, your crafting ingredients when they get pulled out of here, set to extract. And I think I already mentioned that this blacklisted token is in there. Originally, I had thought round robin would be helpful in the case of the charged zirconium, but I'll show you what happens if you do that. And of course, it works perfectly. Well, that's weird. So what was happening to me was, even though that was set to a priority of 1, it was taking them both and sticking them right here, which is the end of the line, basically, of this NDRO conduit. So just to be safe, I am going to leave this off. But it's weird why it worked, because I was actually spending a little while troubleshooting that issue. So looking at two more recipes here, Palace and the Bristonia, they're also not flow controlled. They don't have the token, so you can imagine if I ask for, two of those with no token, and one of these with no token. Let's just say my system is passively asking for them. The recipe's really quickly. It gets sent really quick, but what happens is because there was still a block sitting there, the main ingredient didn't go to the center, it went to the side. And of course you could fix that by, I guess, making a filter for every single pedestal, but that's kind of a lot. So I just find the token kind of helps me manage that. So I should clear these failed crafts. And an example of something that works, of course, we've got the charged one. We also have this emeratic stuff. I can just show that recipe, but we slap this in here. We've got the ingredients plus the token. So nothing too fancy. Slapped into there. I like showing this recipe off because it happens very quick. See how quick that is? I could put a speed upgrade, I suppose, pulling out of that chest, then it wouldn't pause there. But it's kind of neat how quickly it works. As I say that, I thought it was going to fail, but no, it works really good. And I have this design on my server, and it doesn't glitch out at all. So I think it's a pretty good flow control method. So now to talk about the packer, or the unpacker from Packaged Auto, and the packer. I only know a little bit about these, so I'll try to share what I do know, but basically they're helpful for really large recipes like that. Here's a simple recipe: Invar, gear, plate, steel rod, steel casing, and an energy frame. So I'll show how to configure the Packaged Auto and then that center filter, basically adding a new recipe to my design. So shift or control click on that. So we needed a steel rod, and then we needed an Invar plate and an Invar gear. And what else? It was a steel casing, I guess, and then plus a frame. I believe it was, oof. Oh, so it's just an energy cell frame. So slap these in here. So I have an infinite inventory to work with. Turn this off because it's kind of annoying at times. Okay. Let's configure this recipe. So the unpacker has a recipe holder, and the packager has a recipe holder. So the limited info I know about this Packaged Auto thing Packaged Auto is it has these blocks: the packager, the encoder, the unpacker, and then this extension, which I've never used, but I imagine it lets you do even bigger crafts, but I don't know. And then that stuff. That's just, I think those make these. Doesn't matter. Those two holders. You need two holders. This is getting power from the AE2 grid. It integrates with it. It works with it. You'll notice I have AE2 running through this and down. So this actually does work with the AE2 system. It's kind of cool and gets power from it. This block does not have to be on the grid or attached. It could be over there. It's the encoder. But basically, if we click load, it clears everything. You got to be very careful you don't erase your recipes. Like if I clicked save right now, I would erase the two recipes that are on here. So load, slot 0 is this recipe with my token. And here is this extreme crafting table, which could have been done in a regular ME interface from Applied Energistics, but I just chose to do it here. And go to the third one. Just to show you, if I was to go to frame and not change this and do that, it would erase it. But fortunately, I can click load. Don't click save. Be mad at yourself. So I want to make a hardened cell frame. Click on that. So there's two options here as far as I know, processing and ordered, and I suppose ordered puts stuff in order. I don't find that necessary for this system. So that's adequate. Just add your token and click save. Seems like a waste putting it in here, eh? But demonstration and all that. We go to the packer, throw one of them in, and then the unpacker, throw one of them in, and we're configured. But don't forget this filter. I guess I should put that one to white. And the way I have it filtered is the input recipe, the input ingredient, I guess. And then change this to blacklist. And it's nice and easy. That's a cool tip. I forget who showed me, or I probably saw it on a video somewhere, but that's really handy being able to do that. I guess that's it. Let's try to craft, what is it called? The hardened cell frame. Let's try to craft, I don't know, 10 of those. I think the items render kind of slowly, so it looks like it's glitching out, but pushing the items in, and as soon as they finish, it's quickly pulling that out and then pushing the next one in. So it is cool how quick it happens and how stable it appears to be. I guess let me know if you thought this was kind of cool, or as cool as I did. I guess this would be episode 4 of my Applied Energistics tutorial, where I try to show how cool P2P networks are. But this is its own little thing. If you're wondering what the rest of this junk is, it's each part's a video. Video 1 is kind of starting a basic P2P system and then pulling the tunnels over, distributing them to here. Then I think 3 was something to do with energy transfer. You can use AE2 to push energy through a channel. But yeah, if any of this stuff looks kind of interesting, you're kind of confused on how some of this AE2 stuff works, I recommend checking those out, because this whole system is tied together, which makes it really cool for making these little videos where you're trying to show a new little system off. And as for this flow control, I really want to do something with it for Botania, because Botania is really tricky to automate and to not have issues with sending too many items at once, because you're dropping, to make something like mana ingots or diamonds, etc. You're dropping them into these mana pools, as you can see here. And so the items are literally free falling into the world. So having some kind of flow control to make sure you're actually getting the item back, like the item is done in a chest and then sent back out, and having that, it's basically like a finish signal, right? As soon as the item finishes, it's detected, and then it tells itself plus whatever token was there to go back. That's basically like a two-way communication of sorts. But yeah, way to end on a rambling tangent. Thanks for watching.